Hello, everyone. Guess what? It's Tiki Totem time. Hi, Teresa. I did not pre-choose colors, but I did pre-choose some paper, so we can match some colors with the paper for sure. But tonight, so if somebody could just say hi so I can make sure I can see the comments, that would be super great. So I was going to do drinks or totems, and the only people who commented said they wanted totems. So totems it is.
Someone say aloha.
Aloha, mahalo, all that good stuff. Hi, Beth. Beth R. Beth, are you want Beth 2? I think we decided. While you drive home from the airport. Oh, yay. Thank you for popping in anyway. So I had them already stamped out, like in the whole stamp set, but I changed my mind and decided that I wanted to use, I'll be able to watch when I get home in about 20 minutes. Sweet. I wanted to add all the totems to the card. So all 3 of them. So you guys could see how to color each one, because they are pretty different. So so here they are. We're gonna stamp and color. I stamped one and I cut it out on masking tape so we can do the masking. And we're gonna put this guy in the front because he has the most. He's the tallest, I think, or pretty close to the tallest. That one's pretty tall too. They're all about the same, if you wanted to see. But I feel like he's he feels like the biggest one to me. So I put him in the center, and we're gonna go ahead and stamp and create, mask, and all the good things, so you guys can see everything all done in one shot. And I haven't decided. We may have to cut them out, but we'll see. We'll see where we go. So somebody asked me the other day what ink I use. I always use Memento ink when I'm stamping, and I use VersaFine Clair when I'm doing words, sentiments, because it's a bit more black, and this one is better for coloring. And sometimes I use this one, although I need a refill for it. This is the Sassy Club's Onyx Black. I use this one as well, but it needs some more ink. So, so we're going to use this one tonight. Let me see here. We are going to use the a sentiment from the set, and we're going all 100% this, with the exception of, hi Cheryl, hi Sandra, with the exception of the paper pad. The paper that I chose came from LaLaLand. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but wait till I show it to you. It is so cool. It's called Summer Vacation, and it works so good with these totems because there's just all this beachy kind of scene, and I haven't decided which one. But these all have the same similar colors in them. So we'll probably pull colors from these when we're coloring the totems, just so you'll know kind of where I'm going with that. It's Tiki time. I know, I'm so excited. So here we go. That's the very first time I stamped it. Stamped really nicely, so no problems there. I am going to wipe it off because we're going to take it off the stamp so we can mask and put the other one on. So when you're masking, just in case you have never done that, you always want to put whichever one you want in the front view of your card. So the one that you're going to see everything on, you'll put that up front. Because when we start adding the other totems, they'll kind of be hiding a little bit behind this guy here in the front. So always try to think about which way you want them to be. I mean, normally you would think, oh, well, I'll stamp the ones behind first, but you can't do that because you got to mask off this one. Otherwise, you're stamping over top of lines, and you don't want to do that. So that would be really bad. Yes, nice crisp impressions, and this little tool helps as well. This is our little press pop. It looks like a soda pop. Dale made it because I love soda. So he made me a little one that fits my hand, teeny little. It's not very big. It's very small. It's very portable. You can take it wherever you go. It's pretty cool. It will be in the shop when the shop opens up, which, by the way, is coming very soon. I'm waiting for delivery any day of the brand new stamp sets. So I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm really humbled by how many people have commented that they're excited too, and I really appreciate that. I'll be doing another sneak peek here of something I've been working on. Probably tomorrow I'll post it. Oh my goodness. I didn't stamp this on the part that's folded so that you can easily take the backing off, and I seem to be struggling just a little. You got to use yours? You think I gave you one? Well, if I didn't, there's one on the way. I mailed your package today, and it has a couple of goodies in it for you, Sandra. Dale made you a couple of goodies. Okay. Here we go. So when you stamp, make sure that you cut on that black line that goes around. That way it'll fit inside this black line, and nothing will go into anything else. I mean, it just makes it perfect. And especially if you're oxiding a background or something, you definitely want to cut into that black line so that you don't have a white halo line around your guy when you're coloring it. You already know they're going to be great. I know. You're probably the only one. So here, let's see. So if you guys don't know, Teresa, who joined earlier, and we were talking to her, she is the one who requested this stamp design. I'm trying to decide which way I want to put them. So she could have more tiki. She's very tiki. She took us on a big tiki tour when we went to Vegas. It was super fun. Let's see. Do I want to put them even with each other? Or do I want to put them up and down? I think I'll put them even with each other. I think I kind of like it like that. So, and it's going to go over the feathers a little bit. But when it does that, what will happen is a little piece of each one of these two will be hidden behind the guy who's in front. So you'll be able to tell who's in front just by looking, just by viewing the card. Now, does anybody have this problem where these freaking stamps stick to your hand and then you can't get them lined up the way that you want? Like, I don't want too much space here and not the same amount over here. And since this guy's topper is a little bit shorter in width, I'm going to have to move him over a little bit more. He's going to look like he's really hanging out close to that guy. So this part, I think, takes the most time, deciding exactly where you want these little guys to be. Maybe I'll move this guy up a little bit. Oh, I don't want to put the feather in his eye, though. Yeah, maybe I will move him up a little bit. Oh, see, they stick to my fingernails. It's just such a bummer. And my fingers. We'll move this guy down a little bit, so we can have him. No, we should move him up too, because maybe we'll move him up even further. Because they're both going to be behind him, so he needs to be the one in the front. Otherwise, we're going to have it looking a little lopsided. Okay, I think this will work really nicely right here. And that way we don't have to keep them exactly the same. We can put them however we want. So as you can see, there are a multiple different ways you could do this. So yours would even look different than mine. So when you press down on that, you want to be careful because look, I lifted the whole thing up, but you don't want to lift up that, that mat that's on there, that mask. Luckily, I set it all in the corners here, so I know it's going to be in exactly the same place. So we're all good. This is why I love my Misty so much. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to do these two guys. Now, I don't know if you guys saw them colored already, probably from the front of the package. So I did some solid, then a little bit of color, then a whole bunch of color. So what do you guys want? Do you want a lot of color? Do you want them colored similar to this? Or do you want me to do something totally different? Kind of up to you. I colored that, so, but I can always color stuff again and again and do so many different ones. Now, I'm going to have to stamp this one again. It didn't stamp all the way because it's trying to go past the mask. So I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure it's got its color just right. I like where they're sitting though. I'm pretty happy with that. And of course I also use my press pop to press this down, my soda pop can. We haven't decided what we're officially naming it, but there we go. So they look really dark and this one looks really light because it's on masking tape. But when I lift it up, it'll be fine. Same as the page, same as this page. We can do that. I mean, it won't be exactly, I didn't write down the colors I used, but I can get real close. Sometimes I write down the colors if I think you guys are going to ask me. But I was so excited to color these, I just colored them whatever. I actually colored them twice and let her pick what she wanted. I guess I could have left that on there, but too late now. You know, I always like to put my stuff away, and I'm really particular. I like it to line up exactly how it was when it was on there the first time. Some people don't care about that, but for me, if I'm looking for something, when you put it on there wonky, it's hard to see exactly what it is. So I like them to be right back on there exactly like they're supposed to, so you can see what they are. Now I'm not going to put this away because we're going to use this sentiment. I'm going to use a sentiment from that. But we are done stamping this for now. Ta-da! 3 little totems. 3 little Tiki Totems. Just hanging out. Alright. We're going to peel this masking piece off now so you can see. See how cute that is? Those are probably a little bit darker because I stamped them twice. And then I take this little mask. I know I hate when it's not lined up too. I'm very particular about that. Then I take this mask. It's sticky on the back. And I'm going to stick it right over top of this guy right here. And that way, the next time that I stamp, if I need a mask, I already have this one. So I always put them right back on my stamps because you can use them over and over again. Okay. Here we go. Are you guys ready? I'm so excited. Okay. We're going to use, let's start with the back ones and we'll come to this one. So this guy over here, he has some of these greens. Yellow greens, so like the YG 99, 97, 95, 93, and he also has, I believe that he has some of this E87, 84, 81. That's my guess. We'll test it, you know, the way we always test ink. And then I think there might be a little bit of this E43 and 42 E42 in there as well. So let's start with him because he'll be a little bit easier to get him done faster, so we can take our time on the other colors. So this is the green that I'm thinking we're going to be doing for the green part, and I'll show you the colored image again here in a minute. I think it might have more green in it, so we may have to pull another green. This is the E87, E84, kind of a brownish color. And then E81, I think I may have put E42 in between these two to kind of soften up that transition. Let's look, maybe it was E43, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, it was 43. So not E42, but E43, and then we'll go to E81 from there. And I'm going to grab just a little bit more green. I'll leave this sitting over to the side so you guys can see it. But I'm pretty sure that this has a bit more green in it than just this. It had a little bit more green. So let me see. Maybe it was 94. Nope. I bet it was. Let's try 99. Yep, that's the one. So we'll grab 91 and 94 just in case we need those two. And we'll use those colors for this one. So we have the YG 99, 97, 95, 93, E89, 87, 84, 81, G 99, 94, and E43. And here we go. We're going to do this guy first. So let's zoom in so you can see. You don't need to see the marker sitting on the side. There we go. We can leave that one sitting over there so you can see it. And then we'll start coloring this one. Maybe I'll sit him up there like that. All right, let's start with the light color. That way we won't drag any of the heavy green into the rest of it. So I'm going to put the greens aside. Yep. Nope, it won't fit in this green. But I'll use it outside this green. Okay, so we're going to start with E87. We'll put it in here so you can see what number we're on. E87. And you can just choose whichever parts you want. I mean, there's several different locations, but I decided I wanted the main part of the mask and this part of the hands and then this part in the light color. So that's what we're going to start with. So I'm going to start around here and just put it in around the sides. Not too much over here because the feather is covering, but it's also shadowing, so we definitely want some in there. And then the eyelid is going to have some of the dark color in there. And I'm just kind of doing the artist drawn lines in here. I'm just going over them to accentuate that with the dark color. And then under the eyes, same thing. I want to keep that a little bit dark. And then I want to keep his nose pretty light, so I'm just going to put a teeny bit like right here and a little bit around the tip of his nose. And then this whole area under here is also all around here. You can tell where it's connected because there's no lines separating it. So we're going to put a little bit in here around the edges because we want him to look a bit rounded. I mean, he's not completely round, but he is a totem, so we want to make sure we have all of that covered. I'm going to go down here to the hands and just add a little bit on the edges of the little cuffs here. I mean, it's all made out of wood, so, you know. And then right up underneath here, might be a little shadowy. And then the last thing we have is this piece right here. And I'm just gonna go along the edge. And there we go. Now we're gonna move to E84. And we'll just do a little bit with E84 as well, kind of in very small places like we did this one. And then the most will be the E43 and the E81. So we're going to continue from where we put this, the last color, just kind of filling in anywhere where there is white around the edge part of these eyes. And same thing on this side. Just kind of starting to get that filled in a little bit. Just extending out from where we put the last color. And then I'm going to come in here because this is squeezes in, and I want to put just a little bit here along the nose so we can accentuate that long nose. Go along the bottom of the eyelids, the back of the little nostrils. And now I'm going to go over the part that's black and just extend a little bit further on the nose. And then we also have to go up the nose just a little bit from where we put that dark color. Hey, Christina. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here. So I'm only going to go out as far as that little triangle is right there and then extend down a little bit. I don't want to go too far because still want to keep it fairly light. Now, the teeth are also going to be light, so I'm going to do just the corners with this really dark color. That way it looks a bit shadowed and his teeth will look more inset than what they are flat. Here we go, just putting a little bit on each side. Sorry, there's a flying around. My husband mowed the lawn today, and he brought in the little flying bugs. And he came in, and one was on my desk, so I killed him. They've been bugging me all day long, flying around. Alright, so I'm going to go kind of up in some of these little areas right here. And then my brush strokes are going up and down. I want this chevron to look like it's going up and down. I don't want to go across. So that's the reason I have different strokes in this area than in the other area. Because if you look at that, you can see it's up and down, and the rest of it, some of it is across. This is across, and this is up and down. So there we go. Next we have E43. So this one has a little bit of a more brighter, skin tone-ish color. I don't really know how to explain it, but has a little bit more on it in the color that changes it. This one will have a little bit of green in it, so it'll kind of give it a green tint. But it's the highlight color, so the most of the coloring is going to happen with this E42 or 43, I mean. Most of it's going to happen with E43, and then a little bit left for the highlight areas. So notice most of his nose, kind of softening up that color. Under his eyes, I want to leave them kind of dark, so I'm just going to finish them off with this color. Some of the around the outside will happen with this color, around the edges. because we only have one color left. So just the tips of his fingers. And then when I do this part, I'm going to do very long strokes. Because I want to be able to see that texture in this when I finish. So I'm going to do some from the bottom as well, but not as many. Just a few. And there we go. Now we're starting to see a little bit of depth. The real depth is going to come in when we use the green. Wow, my camera can't decide if it wants to be that zoomed in or not. Okay, E81 is next. So that's going to be the last color. And maybe I'll try to keep my hands out of it a little bit more and it won't do that. And we're going to use this one just to finish out that area. And I don't know if you can tell, but it takes on a green tint. I think if you were here in my craft room with me, you could see it better. It's not really white. It kind of has green. You can see it a little bit in this. So that's why I chose to use this one instead of E41. It's because the rest of him was green and I felt like that really accentuated that, that other green that we're going to use. But we didn't put any in the teeth of the last color, so we'll have to go back to that one. We probably could have put some under here too, but that's okay. It might be nicer to have that much lighter so it stands out a bit better. Now I'm going to go back in and I'm just going to touch up these little nostrils and very soft and gently across the tip of the nose. And then we're going to do the same thing across these cuffs, and then I'm just gonna touch the tips of the fingers and push back. I want to keep that shadow area back here. If I pull it out, it will make the tips darker, and I don't want to do that. This one, we're going to do a much lighter, softer touch, going back and forth, just to add that color into the white area. But don't press too hard because we really do want to kind of keep this texture design we have going on here. There we go. He's looking good. Okay, I'm going to leave the cap off of that real quick. And I'm going to grab my E43 one more time. And I'm going to go into this mouth and extend across where the gum line would be. And across the bottom. I'm okay with the bottom being thicker than the top. I want the top teeth to look like they're sticking out a little bit further, so be softer with those. Now, I'm using about a pressure of maybe 1 to soften this up a little bit. I don't want to put a whole lot of ink in there, but I want enough that it just puts a nice soft layer in those teeth. And don't worry, we'll use the colorless blender in a little bit to make those teeth look a little bit whiter than they do right now. All right, next we're going to move on to our greens. So I'm going to start with G99 and then I'm going to go to YG99 and then we're going to walk the numbers down. So YG97, YG95, and then we're going to use G94 and then YG93. So we're walking all the darkest to light. I do color dark to light, so. And the reason I color dark to light is because you use less ink when you color dark to light than you do if you color light to dark. And I like to use less ink because I would be refilling my markers even more often than I already am. Okay, so I'm going to go along the top here and I'm going to go down a little bit to show some more of that wood design than what the artist put in here, because I don't know, when I got to coloring it, I wanted to add those additional lines, but I feel like it gets overpowering when you're drawing it if you put too many lines in there. Then everyone gets confused on what is this line for? What is that line for? So I try to put less in there, but when I color, I like to add them. And if I'm not the artist, then, you know, I like to add them anyway. Okay, I am going to go up this line, but I'm going to try to stay right on that line. So that added us in some dark, and we'll get even more depth with that when we get to the next color, because it's also a very dark green. So I'm going to add a little bit inside these, what I would call eyebrows, around this feather area a little bit, because there'd be some shadow there, around the edge over here. And then the eyes, oh, the eyes, they're going to be so much fun. We're going to put some of that dark all along the top and along the bottom on both sides. Those eyes are so fun. And then we're going to just put a little bit along the edge of these triangles here. A little bit along his neck. And I get it, his face and stuff is the light colors, but we're making the neck area dark. But it's all in shadow. So I'm going to go along the shoulders and pull down a little bit. So we're starting to get this one right in here. This is like, oh, arms are overlap the body, so I need some depth of color in there. Also going to go ahead and proceed along these little hands right here. And then I'm going to go over to this corner and just put a little bit in the corner. Just trying to make sure I keep that rounded impression. And then here, this time, instead of going around the outside, I'm going to go around the fingers. Start getting some dark color around those fingers so it looks like they're on top of something. And then this, I want it to look like it's sticking out, so we need to put some depth underneath it. So we're going to go all the way along that line under to keep that shadow going. And then we're going to go along the bottom, and then we're ready for the next color. So I'm going to flip this around. You see how dark he looks? It's so cool. Okay, so this is going to be along the ground. So I'm going to put a lot of color along the bottom, not all the way, but definitely where the lines are. And definitely on the sides. And there we go. And with the next color, we'll put some shading around that zigzag as well. All right, so now we have YG99, which is also very, very dark. It's just not this same green shade. So we're going to start where we put that darkest color, and we're going to add just a little bit more. Maybe extend a little bit further on some of them. Just start getting that deep color in there. It's almost like we put a pre-color down before we did this. And I am extending a little bit further in some areas. And it's pretty dark right now, but we're going to go ahead and move to lighter colors in a few minutes. So it'll lighten it up a little bit. I'm not going to put any in the side cheeks. I'm just going to leave them the way they are. And then for this one, I'm just going to do it in the corners. of the eyes. I mean, I don't want to get too much along the edges, so I'm just doing the corners with this one. You guys are mighty quiet. You watching? Anybody coloring with me? Now I'm going to extend a little bit further on these. And then we're going to do this part, extending a little bit further, making it a little bit thicker down here. There we go. Now, I didn't go over these lines with the last color, so we are going to do them with this color. Hey, Mom. Welcome, welcome. All right, we want to keep this thick, so we're definitely going to get some color under here with this one. Because remember, we want that to look like it's sticking out, like pretty far, so. Now, for this part down here, I'm only going to put the shadow on one side. And then on the bottom, I'm going to do this side. So it's really the same side. Makes it look like it's just a little thicker in one area. Kind of makes it look like it stands out a little bit. I was coloring along, but I just discovered my YG99 is dead. Oh, that's okay. You can still keep going. Just do all of what I'm doing right now with your YG97. It will be okay. This, because you have that G99, I think you'll still be okay. The G99 only adds a little bit more green to it. I'm going to come around here on this edge, only up to about where this meets up. And there we go. My YG99 and E87 are both dead. Oh my goodness, Shani. I'm so sorry, you guys. Did you check the lids? Do you have cracked lids? Or are you just out of ink and you needed a refill? I think you're going to be okay, even without, like you could probably got away without your E87. And your YG99 just replaced with the YG97. You're making do. Good. Awesome. See, it's great when you can figure it out as you're going along. So this one is YG97. This one isn't going to get a whole lot unless you're unless you didn't have YG99, and then you want to make sure that you're covering about as much area as I'm covering with that one color. So see how it's starting to really bring it in. This one, I want most of the outside of this guy done with this color. We're extending and going over the edge where we put that original color. See? And we're just extending it out a little bit. Cracked lids. What can you do for cracked lids? Well, if you color really often and you notice that your marker is getting lighter, meaning like weight-wise, like I've learned to feel my markers. I know what they weigh by feeling them. I just hold them in my hand so often that I know if they're out of juice or getting low, or if it's sticky, or if the color is harder to blend. You probably need ink in it. And if you notice it's a marker that you have used a lot or haven't used a lot, you can refill it and you should be good. For a cracked lid, when you know that it's cracked, what I started doing was when I found a marker that had a cracked lid, I saved the lid from the other end when I replaced the marker. So if you catch it soon enough, these little caps at the top right here, they come out. See? You can pop them off the top. So if you save these from any markers and they don't have a crack in them, then you can replace this with the next marker that has a crack and use that cap instead. So you can do that. Some people have said that they'll take resin or super glue or something and put it inside the lid and try to block the crack. I don't know how well that works. I've never tried it. I usually just get rid of it. But if the crack is on the barrel, there's nothing you can do about that. Typically it's the caps that crack, and you can hold them up to the light. Like you'd hold it like this, put the light above it. And if there's a crack, you'll see the light inside. Like you'll see light shining through. Like right now you can't see anything because this one is not cracked. But I have one. Hold 1 second. I think I have one that's cracked that I saved for just these kinds of questions. I think you can't see it if I have tape around it, but I think this is the one. So let me see my husband's phone right here. I can maybe show you if I can turn his flashlight on. You can also use your phone. I do this when I go places. Like, I thought this was one with a crack in it, but maybe it's the other one. Hold on. I'm checking. Oh, it's the black marker that had the crack in it. Hold, please. This one. I know this one had a crack in it. Let me find it. Oh, yep, it's this one. So it has this little yellow tape on it because it's caution. I opened up my marker and it was dry as a bone. So I knew something was wrong. So I took the cap and I put the light on it. Look, can you see it? Can you see the light shining through? You can see the crack. See? So if you hold it under a light or you put a light behind it, you can see where the crack is. So you don't want to keep any of these lids. You want to keep the other ones. So that's how you can tell. So if you buy a new marker, check your cap when you get it. Like check it right away. Because every now and then you may end up getting one. And if you wait too long, they won't replace it. But if you tell them right away, I know Violetta ink will replace it immediately if you tell them right after you get it. Yeah, you can see it. I know. It's crazy. Thank you, is that Kari or Carrie? Ross Clayton. Thank you for the beautiful stamps comment. But, I mean, it doesn't happen that often. I've had a few do it, but I mean, I've had my markers like 20 years and I haven't had that happen a lot. I've heard that some of the newer ones, it happens a little more often, so you want to be careful. I think what happened was the company passed down to the next generation, and they were trying to try different caps or different size, whatever they did. They changed something in the company that caused the caps to crack. And I know it's been addressed with them and that they're, trying to fix it. But the problem is that they probably already had a ton of markers already made. And so they can't pull them all off the market. So it's just going to take a little while for them to get better. I haven't recently gotten any bad ones, but I did for a little bit. So just check them when you get them. Check them right away. Even if you think they're okay, don't worry. Got to go to trivia. We'll finish watching tomorrow. Okay, great. Thank you. Have fun. I hope you win. Hello, Jackie. Okay, so now we're just going around this part of the hands where we put that darkest color, and we're going to go around the outside edge as well. And we're just building in a little bit more of this green color. So going down from the top, because remember we want to keep this part pretty shadowy because it's underneath this layer that we want to be sticking out. So this is where I put the dark color. So I'm going to extend out some of that. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Just a little bit smaller than I did the top. And then we're going to do along the bottom of the totem right here. There we go. So we're going through each step pretty slow right now. So the next two, I'll repeat them and we'll move just a little bit faster. So we won't be here until midnight. I'm just kidding. We would not be here till midnight. Next one is YG95. But we're almost done with this guy. So we're going to start building this in. This is almost like an olive green. It's a much lighter green, but we need to have a little bit of green back in there. So we're going to use that G94. So we're not going to put quite as much of this one in as we are the other ones, but look at how it's starting to do that really cool look with those eyes. I really like those eyes. And now we're going to make sure we're doing the outside, around the outside here, under his chin. We're going to go ahead and fill that in because we want to keep that darker along the collar, the top part of that triangle, which we want that triangle to be really dark, but I did it in dark green. So we're going to use just the G99 and the 94, so we're going to come back and do that last. That's why I skipped the triangle. Extending out just a little bit. Now we're going to start building in from the other side of this area here, where we've been putting that shadow in. We're going to do the opposite side. A little bit, and then a little bit up from the bottom, just so we can keep this color in there. All right, next we're going to move on to that G94. Before we do that, let's grab our G99 and do that triangle. So just G99, and I want to keep this really dark. So I'm going to put a darker part along the top, this side, and this side, and then we'll come in with that last color. It's just to keep part of it darker, part of it lighter. You can do whichever section of it you want. This is the G94. This is the one that has way more green in it, and since you guys wanted a bit of this, I had to give you a little bit more green. So we're going to put that green in here. You'll see it as it starts coming through. See how it's starting to turn a little bit green? We have to have this color in. So I'm using a very light touch and just a small swipe of this color just to get it. You can tell the difference between that and the rest of it. I'm going to put just a little bit in the eyes, but not very much, because I want to use the last color to bring that to life. This part right here, we're going to bring in the whole thing with this, just this one color. I wanted to keep this little triangle green. Just like that. Now we're going to put a little bit of this green, just doing these quick little brush strokes to add that green in. Not really doing it for the technique, I'm doing it more for the color add. So just adding a bit of that color into all of this olive color. All of this olive color. That's kind of hard to say. Olive. All right, last color is going to be YG93. And in case you didn't notice when we did our swatching, this one definitely goes back to that green color as well. So it will help to blend all of that together. So now it's going to be the filling in the remainder of all the area. Now remember, this one is very light. So as I'm doing these brush strokes back and forth, it's going to lighten it up a little bit and blend it together. And that is what we're looking for. I'm probably using a pressure of maybe 2.5 or 3. Just to make sure more ink goes on the paper. My internet is really bad. I'll have to catch up on the replay. No problem, Jackie. It stays in the group for 30 days, and I also put it up on YouTube. So you can definitely catch the replay anytime. At your own convenience. And anyone who maybe bought the stamp set or didn't get it in time can go back and watch the replay anytime they want. Okay, so this is where we're going to really work on these eyes. So I'm going to use more of like a 4 pressure on this one because I want to really get that color to move around. See how it's much lighter, but there's a big line right there and right there. I want to soften those lines up. So I'm going to play with this color for a little bit. Try to get that color to soften up. We're going to put a little bit of E81 in there in a minute to kind of keep that really good look that we wanted. Make those eyes really pop. So right now they kind of look like the rest of them, but see how much lighter they are on this one? I'm going to show you how I did that here in just a few minutes. Okay, back to this little bit lighter touch, but just blending all those colors together. I'm not going over this green though. Everything else that has that color, but not that centerpiece. Along here. And this is going to be pretty light, but I want this to look like it's sticking out, you know? So I need it to be looking like more light is hitting it. So I want to keep that pretty light. Doing the same thing here with that back and forth motion. Don't want to spend too much time on here because I want the shadow to stay. That darker area on each one. Going back and forth, back and forth. I like to use that back and forth technique for my blending. To me, it helps blend it. Just don't overdo it. Don't do it too much. Give it a chance for the ink to move on its own. And then if you have to go back in and fix, you can. All right, so we're going to use E81 one more time over the green to lighten the eyes. So when I do this, I'm going to keep it right in the center. It's about a 1 until I start seeing that ink move. Do you see how we have a 1 line there? I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to go to this side, back and forth, till I see that ink start to move, and then I'm going to stop. I don't want to overdo it. I just want to lighten it up. Now I'm going to do it just a little more pressure, make that eye a little bit bigger. Same thing on this side. See how that color is moving that ink around? You see it? Now I'm going to grab my YG95 and I'm going to soften those edges around the eyes. So just the softness between the E81. I want to get some depth going back in here. So I'm going around again. Look at that. and that gives you those eyes. That's how I got those eyes to look like that. Now, when we get to this other one, you'll be able to see it with 2 different colors, and you'll really see it. Okay, now I did tell you with the colorless blender, we were going to lighten the teeth a little bit, so we're going to go in and do that right now. And I'm just going to run this along the edge of the top teeth just a couple of times, and then right here along the bottom. What that's doing is just pushing that ink around to lighten up those teeth. It's just so it looks a little bit different than the rest of it. I see a spot that we missed. So, well, I say we. Me and the little mouse in my pocket. YG93, go in and fill in those triangles. I wanted to keep them lighter, so I used the YG93. There we go. That's the last spot. He's all done. When we do this one, we're only going to use a few colors, kind of like we did this time, so we can whip through that one a lot faster. But this one is going to have a lot of colors in it, so we are going to have to do that one next. All right, so here we go. Look at that. That's pretty close. I did pretty close. This one is a little less blended in as this one, so what I probably did, and if you want to, it's up to you, just take your colorless blender, kind of put some lines in there like this, and it'll move that ink around and give you a look like this. You just got to do it a little bit at a time, and you got to do it in certain spots. It'll start moving that ink, and it'll give you that color that you want. You can see it starting to move to give you those lines. It's just up to you if you want to do it or not. I'm not going to spend too much time doing it just because of the time limitation we have. But as you can see, it just gives you a little bit better texture. That's your colorless blender. Use it to make things work the way you want them to work. So for this, I chose, we're going to guess, but I'm pretty sure it was something like, I would say for blue, it was probably B37. That's our darkest color. B26. Still dark, but turning a little blue. And then maybe B34. Not B34. We need a brighter blue for that. Let's try 24. Oh yeah, there we go. Can you see the difference? This one is more muted than this one, so we're going to switch to this one. Okay, so that's our blue. Our red, I'm pretty sure, is 59, 46, and probably 35. So 59, 46, and 35 looks like this. 59, 46. That's how I make sure that they blend well together, although I already did because I did that, but there you go. There's your red. Then this is like an orange and yellow, almost like a fiery color. So I'm sure there's some Y11 in there because there's some really light yellow. Probably some Y15. And I think if I had to guess, I would say maybe a YR18, like YR18, because we need a bit of that depth for the shadow. Then we'll move to YR16 so we can lighten and soften, and then we'll go to Y15, which will also blend. Moving into Y11, which will bring that really bright yellow, and that's how we'll do all the eyes. Wanted it to look kind of like fire in the eyes, which is why I chose those colors. For the green, I think it was something like, and believe me, I'm just guessing on these because I don't remember what colors I used, but I'd say I need a darker color than that. So maybe YG67, YG17, and then I needed something brighter. No, that's not it. Although that does look way greener. So let's put the YG17 away and use that G07. That's the second one that I used because it's a much brighter green. And then we're going to add YG03 so that we can keep, and that might have been the fluorescent green actually, but hey, Beth 1. Beth 2 is here. Okay, and then the rest of the totem, I wonder, yeah, I bet I used E79, 77, 74, and then if I needed it, I used E71. So I think it was this brown color, 79, 77, that looks about right, 74, starting to look right. This is 71. Yep. If I hold this over here, that looks about like all the colors. So I think we're good. I think for the teeth, I probably used C1 because you know how I roll. I always use C's on the teeth. So this is my C1. And I'm just going to go around the top of each one of these teeth. And then I'm going to go along the bottom here. And I'm going to go all the way across the bottom. Oh, I just want to keep a little bit darker teeth on the bottom. Beth 1 and Beth 2, like our thing 1 and thing 2. And then I'm going to take the colorless blender and I'm going to kind of push that color back up into his gums. And I'm going to do that on both areas. So back into the gums. And then we'll let that dry before we mess with anywhere around his mouth. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with the green. We'll just jump right in there. Why don't we? Just jump right in there. I'm going to move this to this side so you can see that one while we color this one. Okay, so YG67. Oh, I really want you to be able to see that color. Okay, and this is what we're going to do up here in the feathers or grass, if you will. I thought it was more like leaves. It could be feathers. You could do it in multiple colors. So much you could do with these stamps. You can make them your own in however you want. So I want to put a bit of the green around the base, like right around the base of this. And then any leaf or feather, whichever way you want to look at it, is overlapping the other should have the darkest color on it. Also, these, I hold the marker up a little more upright so that I can get that line in the middle of the leaf in with this darkest color as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go along each one that's overlapping. So that one overlapped that one overlapped that one, and so forth. And then this piece right here that we're going to do in red, we're going to pretend like that's in front of all of this. So we need to shadow behind it. And then there's that centerpiece right here. And this centerpiece, we want to make sure these centers of these leaves get marked. This behind. So we're doing the same thing, but on the other side now. This one is in front of this one is in front of that one, and so forth. So we're going to do the same thing, we're just going down the other side. This one. And then we can go along that center line there. I'm not going over every one that's sticking out from it, but just a couple of them. We can go over those with a lighter color in a few minutes. but I do want to get a little bit in the dark. And then I want to come along and whatever is closest to this banner cover thingy on his head, I want there to be depth right there as well. So adding it there. Now there's a few other places on here that are going to have some of this color. So I'm going to go ahead and put that color in right now. So this whole area right here, here, and here is all in the green. So I'm going to go over the darkest color right here on both of these. These are going to be like eyes as well. I mean, you can have as many of whatever you want on your totem. It can be eyes or openings or whatever. I'm going to put this darkest color around that center part of this stone. And then I'm going to go out from each area like this. And then this area right here had a bit of this green in there. So we're going to put that around the edges. And this triangle as well. Probably because it's close. And then we did these little things right here. So I'm just going to put a little bit at the top, a little bit at the bottom. We'll come in with the lighter colors to blend that together. And the only other place is, it looks like I put it in the eyelids a little bit. So I'm going to go along just the edges of this line on the eyelid. It's a very skinny line. If you don't want to do that part, you don't have to. It's up to you. But now we can move on to the next color. Okay, so we only have 3 colors for this. So this one is the one that's going to get the most used. It's the G07. It will be around the outside of these leaves slash feathers, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to be going over any of the lines, leaving a little bit of white area in there for the last color. So see just a little bit of light areas in there. We're going to do that on every single one of them. So going around the edges, wherever the artist put the lines, and just making sure that we have that part covered. Here we go. This way, there's just little marks on there coming out from the centerpiece, just leaving a little bit. How's everybody doing? Are you guys coming along nicely with your little totems? Going too slow, too fast? What do you think? Working out good? You guys let me know. I can speed up or slow down or whatever you need. There we go. Now this one has a lot of little lines on there, so I'm just going to be careful when I do that one. Go along this side as well. Around the edges, along the center, same thing on this one. They're pretty small and they don't have to be perfected. Just as long as you get some color of each one in there, it should be good. Now we're just going to extend out from where we put that last color on all these little spaces in here, and I'm just doing along one side of the outside just to start getting this color filled in. I'll do both sides on this part because it's much bigger. Well, I just got something in my yellow spot. We'll have to fix that. It's kind of hard when I'm trying not to hold my marker too upright so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then I colored right in there. But it's okay because we can take our colorless blender and just push that ink back into the green. We just have to do it a little bit at a time. And we don't want to forget these down here. So soften that line that you have put in there before and then do the line on the top. This one we didn't go around the outside, so we're going to do that now. It doesn't have to be perfect, just get the color in there. That's all that matters. I'm going to go along the inside right here as well. And I think I'm just going to finish off the outside. I want the outside to stay darker than the inside, so I think I'm just going to do that. And then we'll use the last color on the inside of the stone. I think I did that, and that's why these are so much darker. Also, I think I may have used a little bit darker green than that, but it'll be good. You'll know what I mean. YG03 is next. That's the last one, so this should finish off our green. So we're just going to go in there with a little back and forth motion and get that color anywhere where there's white. I'm using a really light touch because I don't want to blend it too much. I want to be able to see the color variation. How it's dark green and light green. It gives that really cool look. There we go. So that kind of fills it in. Looks a little better. All right, now we're going to fill in all of these. So just using the tip of your marker, just kind of go back and forth a little bit to get that color in there. And do the same thing here. Softening that up because I want to make sure it's not too much of a line there. I want you to blend that together. And then we'll do the same with this. It looks a little funny right now because we need to get that green back into the green, but we can't do it while the ink is wet. So we're just going to color all this in and then we'll go back and fix it. You can use your colorless blender, but you can't use a whole lot of it because if you use a whole lot of it, it moves the ink around and it'll move the ink right back in to where you're trying to move it out of. So you have to be real careful with the amount that you use. So just keep that in mind when you're coloring. All right, next, let's go for the browns. We need to get the browns done. That'll be the most intense part. Oh, I didn't put any green in the eyelids, but we need some in there. So I'm going to grab that YG03 one more time. I just want a little bit in there because we're going to use another color, but I want you to be able to see a little bit of green in there. So I just added a little bit. All right, so starting with E79, this is going to be very, very, very dark. So use it sparingly so that you don't get too much in there. I want to make sure that I keep these lines right here because they make him look like kind of like that angry totem. He's in charge of what's going on. So I'm going to go along this area right here in between. I want to keep that really dark, so I'm filling in that little space right there. And then we're going to go around right here. Just deepen that up. Right there. Now we're going to put a little bit right here where that nose overlaps. The cheeks. We're also going to put it here. Trying to do it so you guys can see. So know that you should be holding your marker upright so you can get a much thinner line than what I'm getting. I am going to go over this black just to keep it darker. Normally we do that with like a multi-liner, but I'm okay with us doing that with this part right now that we're doing. Hey, Mom. And then we're also going to go along this area right here where the eye is, just to keep a little bit of darkness right there. Nice. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm going to move on down. These areas down here, I want a little bit underneath the mouth, like that. Just keep that area dark, because it would be overshadowing this part. And then I'm going to do just a really fine line here. These are very small lines. So if you feel like you can't make those smaller lines, wait and do the next color. Don't use this darkest one, because if you get it too thick, it'll leave a really dark line. Now this one, I'm just going to put some here and some here. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Just getting a little bit in that crack and crevice right there. Next, we're going to do this. What do we do around his eyes? Blue and then brown. Okay. So we're going to do down here by his nose, this area right here. I'm going to do it on the other side, like about midway underneath the eye and then up the side, just like that. Then we're going to move on down here. This little part right here is going to have that brown as well, at the top and the bottom. And then this area down here. Now I want to put red in this little jagged line right here, so I don't want to put too much of the dark color anywhere around that. So I'm just going to skip it for now. So we're kind of filling this in. And then we're going to come along the bottom. I'm going to turn that around so I can get that line going and you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go all the way along the bottom because, again, I want that base to stay dark. There we go. So we're starting to fill this in. Now, you guys know I like to do the inside of the mouth with the darkest color. This you could do as the top of the teeth, but I kind of like it as the cheek. It kind of makes it look like there's depth in that mouth. So I'm just filling this part in with this darkest color. And then just to be consistent, I'm going to go over this black spot that I put Memento ink on. Just to keep that, see how much more that like stands out once you put that over there? I just like it. So yeah, I'm doing that. All right, E77 is next. All right, here we go. We're going to kick it up just a little bit. All right, we're going to move this all the way along the top. We're going to go on the inside of that little eyebrow. We're going to go all the way along the top. We're going to go inside that little eyebrow. Now we're going to extend here, and we're going to do each one of these lines that the artist put in there. Now, if you hold your marker upright, you'll get a much finer line than I did. But that's hard to do, and you still be able to see what I'm doing. So, yeah, my lines are pretty thick, and that's okay. So now we're going to start filling in under the eye and this area. I'm going to leave a very tiny spot right there. If you don't, that's okay. I really just want to leave a little tiny spot. We're going to go around the nose and out from the nose so we can start making that nose really stand out. I'm going to move down here to these little pieces right here. I'm sorry, I yawned. I didn't mean to. I'm not bored, I promise. Can you guys hear the printer going in the background? So sorry about that noise, but lots of work going on over here. We're just moving into each section that we put the brown and extending out to add a little bit more of that brown. So this area that goes around his eye, it's gonna come into his nose. So I'm gonna put a little bit down here. And then I'm gonna start at this top and go around the eye. I'm gonna leave the outside off for now. So starting about right here, going around this eye, and then continuing on the inside part of the eye, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm also going to go along this nose a bit, right along the bottom, and right along the top, and wherever the Memento ink is, just to keep that dark. We should have done those teeth when we did those teeth, but that's okay. We can't always see everything. All right. I'm going to extend a little further up on this and a little further down on this. There's a bug again. I missed him earlier. I'm going to go along the edge, but I'm going to skip where that center, because I'm going to make that line right there in red. And now I'm going to start extending up from where this is at the bottom, and I'm going to start going up these little lines a little bit further than the bottom. Just want to start building in those lines just a little bit. This will keep the design and the texture going, and it will be grand. Next one, who's ready? Moving on, E74, and there's only one more color after this one, so we're going to color most of it with this one that's left and leave small areas for highlight. So now, at this point, everything around the outside has to be done. So let's start with these eyes, and we want these eyes, we don't want to get any in the green, because that's going to be for the blue. Ugh. Going up to the top. And then we're going to start filling in these little areas right here. This little area by the eye, around here, all the way around the edge. Softening that up just a little bit. Now we're going to make sure we got all around the outside done. Just leaving tiny amount on the cheeks. Extending in both directions. And now we want to do his nose. So this area at the top, I'm going to do in this color. There's 3 little lines right there. I think I made them blue, so I'm going to skip them. And put a little down the bottom, a little by each nostril. And then we'll kind of do this with the darker color, and then we'll go out with the lighter color. So probably a few tiny brush strokes going each direction will give that sense of it's moving, you know? All right, so coming down here, I'm just going to put a little bit of this color in here, try to soften up that darker color. If it's too small for you, just color it in with this one. It's fine. This one, I'm just going to extend from both directions and close it off. I want to keep this part real dark. So going this way, extending in, we're going to leave a small area for that last color to come in, but not around the outside, only in the center. So we got to fill in the nostrils as well, or what looks like nostrils. Now, this is the type of pattern that I filled in with this color, and I want to do that with this pattern down here as well. I want to keep that consistent, depending on what kind of pattern it was. So I'm going to place this above this line right there. this line. And we're going to blend these together right to that line. And then underneath this line. I don't want that to be red. And being that this is a light color, if I get any in that, it's okay. I can still make it red. So don't stress too much. Or you can just make this whole section brown. It's up to you. I just wanted that little bit of red in there. Last one is E71. You guys are quiet. I think most people who are watching are coloring. We're going to use E71 to blend out the rest everywhere. So everywhere there's white with the brown, we're going to fill that in. This one has a lot of colorless blender in it, so if you blend too much, it is going to move the ink around a lot. So keep that in mind. I did go over that nose piece, but we'll put some blue in there too. Then these areas right here, just gonna go in there and soften those up. If you colored yours all in the other color, you can still go in with this marker on top of it and it will make it a little bit lighter. This color will move the ink around. So keeping this little guy down here's nose light. That was it. Now we have that color in there. That's it for the brown. Yay! Let's go ahead and do the blue since I was talking about putting the blue over the nose and that way I won't forget. B37. It's going to be, I'm going to put it over this nose, top and bottom. The center part will be the lightest blue. The lips are going to be red, so I'm going to put this blue on this triangle right here. And then I want the eyes to also be blue. So I'm going to start in this corner with the darkest color. And then I'm going to come around and on this corner I want the darkest color. That's it. Just this part and just this part. And then our last place for the blue is along this edge right here. So I want it to have a little bit along the top, not a whole lot, just a teeny bit. So I'm barely touching the paper, getting me just a tiny thin line. But this part where they meet up, I kind of have it looking like it kind of goes in like this. So we need a thick line in the middle of that. And then where this butterfly-ish is, and along these edges is where we need to get this darkest color in. Now, there are lines in between, so in order to keep those lines dark, I'm going to go over each one of those lines with this darkest color. Make sure you're holding your marker upright like this. You'll get much tinier lines than I am. But when I hold it up like that, you can't see. So, there we go. Okay, next, we're moving down here. This center area is going to be yellow, but the rest of this decoration is going to be blue. So I'm going to go along the edge of this. I might just do this whole piece right here in this darkest color. And then I'll just do here. So let's do this whole piece. And then we'll do just right here, like that's overlapping. Okay. Here we go with the next color, blue. We have B26. B26. So B26, we're going to go along the bottom. We're going to go along the top again, soften that up. Notice we're moving a little faster now. Hopefully you can keep up. If not, let me know. I can slow down again. I just don't want to make everyone stay too late tonight. So I'm just extending out from where I put that last color. I'm going to go around the butterfly and we'll save the rest for that last color. So I did in between there and there. Okay, I want a little bit of blue in these eyelids, so I'm adding a little bit of that blue now. The rest will be with the last color. Just wanted there to be a little bit of blue and a little bit of green in those eyelids. We're not going to do the nose until we get to the last color. So I'm going to do around the outside on this, a little bit from the top, down that outside, just like that. And then for his eyes, we're going to just extend a little bit further on both sides, leaving a little bit left over for the light color. And then we're just going to go around the center of that eye, leaving the rest of that for the last color. So we have a couple of white spots left. And that's it. I think I'm going to add just a little bit of blue down here. Just teeny tiny bit. Make sense? Nice. Okay, next we have bead 24. This is going to be the finish it up for the bead colors. So I'm going to just go all the way across with a very light touch and don't blend too much. I want you to be able to see the light from the dark, just like we did on that one. I believe I went back and did the harsh lines one more time after I was done, just so that you would see them a little bit darker than the rest. I'm going to go over some more of this eye area right here to get that harsh green to settle. And go along the center part of that nose. I'm going to put a little bit of the blue under the eye as well. And we're going to fill in these areas right here. Make sure you soften those up a little bit. This one, this one. And we're going to extend from here. We're going to finish these eyes, softening that up. Adding a little bit here. There we go. And I'm going to add a little bit down here on the side to soften up where I put that darker color. And then I'm going to add a little bit of blue in the edges of this stone, just so the center part stands out a little bit more. Alrighty, ready for red? Or ready for orange? Let's do orange and yellow first. So we had 4 colors for orange and yellow. We have YR18, YR16, Y15, and Y11. These 4. YR18, 16, Y15, Y11. And this is where we're going to start building in our darkest orange. So in the eyes, starting at the top. Oh, I finally got it. Now that bug will leave me alone. Okay, there we go. Just along the top, and then just along the bottom. Not too much. Be real careful. Don't want too much of the orange in that one. Alright, there's going to be a little bit of orange. All of this is going to be yellow. So what I'm going to do is add just a teeny bit to the tip of each section. Nothing down below. I want it to go orange yellow. This part of the eye, I want to go around the bottom on both eyes. Only the bottom. And then these areas right here on this particular eye right here, we're going to start at the center and work our way out. I'm not going to put any on the outside. I'm only going to put it on the inside. This is showing you a little bit of a different technique on each set of eyes, if you will. Moving faster, we got smaller spots now. YR16, this is our last orange color. We need orange to be all the way around, so we're going to soften that first orange we put and keep going all the way around the eyes, like this. Okay? There we go. Both eyes. Perfect. I'm going to use this color right here to do the edge of the inside of this butterfly that's up here. Now we're going to extend just a teeny tiny bit from where we put these colors. This one will go all the way around and soften that edge. All the way around and soften that bottom edge. This one, we're going to go out from the center and all the way around. So out from the center and all the way around. Same thing on this side. There we go. Now we have our eyes ready to go. Okay, Y15. The next one, Y15. Hopefully you can see that. We're going to go just over where we put the YR16 and just put a little bit. Don't worry if you close it all in, because we're going to lighten it with the Y11. Don't worry, it'll be fine, I promise. So you're just softening that up. In order to get that texture, we're going to have to come back in with those other colors again. So I'm just extending down on that one. It was pretty easy. This one, all around the inside. Don't worry, we're still going to hit it with that Y11. Just trust the process. Don't stress. I know it feels like you just filled it all in, but don't worry. I promise. There we go. Now we're going to grab our Y11. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't forget the butterfly up here. Leave just a teeny bit on the tip of his wings for this last Y11 color. This is one of my favorite. This is my favorite yellow for sure. Okay, I'm going to start on the bottom eyes so you can watch this happen first with this one. So I'm going to go along that center just like we did on that other one. Just like maybe 3 or 4 times. And then I'm going to move up to this one and I'm going to do it as a dot in the center. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Just right in the center where I put the majority of that Y11. You're going to start seeing it moving around. It's moving the ink around a little bit. We're going to come back and do a second coat. I just want you to get that basic coat in there first. This one, just going along the center of that eye. Both sides. Then from the butterfly, I'm going to come from the outside of the wing and go in. Be careful not to touch the blue. If you get blue on the tip of your marker, wipe it off on an excess paper first. All right, here we go. Going down to these eyes again. So now I'm going to hold my marker even more upright and do a smaller line there. No blending, just that tinier line. And here I'm going to do the same thing. Put this yellow in there again with the smaller dot. And this one, same thing. Just filling it in again. Now, let me hold this up so you guys can see. Now, it looks like they're glowing just a little bit. But let me show you the last step that I do to make that really pop. Go back to your YR18. Hold your marker upright like this, high up as you can get it, straight up and down, and then go along the edge of this eye in the same place you originally put this color in. Now, I did that one very tiny. You saw how I did it. But this one, I'm going to leave my hand down here so you can really see what I'm doing. You want to build in that darker color in there so it'll really, really pop. Again, on this one, we're going to put that darkest color down below. This one only on the inside towards the outside. So the outside edge of these eyes are going to be much lighter than the inside. Now, once you've put that darkest color in there one more time, that's when you're going to go over it to soften it just a tad with the Y11. We're skipping all the inside colors. We're just kind of going over that to soften it up. Just the edge and just real quick. As you can tell, my marker is picking up orange onto my marker, and that is okay for right now. I want it to have both those colors in it. Then I'm going to take a scratch piece of paper and wipe off the tip of my marker till all that orange is gone. And I like it. I like it. If you want those, like in this picture, there's a few more little brush strokes. You would go in with the YR16 in order to get those, and you would make tiny brush strokes going this way and this way. And that's how you get those little bitty, what looks like fiery eyes. I'll hold it up close in just a moment so you can see it a little bit better. I'll show you. And the bottom one, I think I did it to that one too. A few of those little brush strokes. Not with the darkest color, but with the YR16. If you get a whole bunch of them in there and you need to soften them up a little bit, you would go in with the Y11 and just pounce over it. Don't do it too much or you'll wash it out, but it will soften it up. So I did mine pretty quick. I'm going to wipe it off on paper because probably picked up some orange again. And then let me show you up close what this looks like. So you see the lines in there, in the eyes, the ones that you see in this picture. They're in there now. They were not earlier. So that's how I got that fiery kind of looking like there's some flames in there going on. All right, red, R59, R46, and R35. So 59 is, these lips are going to be challenging, so be careful. We're going to start up here at the top. I'm going to make this the darkest red. Even though on the picture I made it green, I'm going to go ahead and make it red on this one. It doesn't matter. It can be whatever color you want. But again, anything that overlaps, so this one is, this whole piece is in front of that one. See, line there, and then those center lines just for accent. I definitely want it dark red along the edge of this rim right here. And then right here, I'm going to put a little bit, and right here, I'm going to put a little bit. Nothing at the top, nothing in the center of that piece. So for the mouth, we're going to do anything that's like real tiny and hidden and should have a shadow on it. We're going to go along this line a little bit. Underneath that line all the way across. His lips up this way. Be careful, try not to go into the teeth or outside. I'm going to go right along the edge of these teeth and fill in with this darkest color right at the edge. I am not going to do it on the top. We'll do that with the next color. Now we're going to do the same thing with these teeth. And remember, we haven't done these teeth in white yet. So, yikes. Just kind of curving this around, going over that part. Tiny line there. And then along this side and along this side. I'm not going to do that center part at the top. I'm only going to do it along the teeth right there. And then these are also red, so I'm going to do a teeny bit from the edge and then underneath this gemstone right here. On the edge. And then again, this is what color I want to make these red parts, so I just put a little dab of red on one side of every one of those little dot thingies. Dot thingies. You guys know what I mean, right? Very cool. You like the eyes? That's pretty cool. I always try to play around with the markers and make them do cool stuff. R46 is next. 35 is the last one, so we really only have one more color to go. Up here, we're going to get a little more. We're going to do around the outside here, and then we're going to extend a little further on that color that we put in earlier. We definitely want around the outside, down this one. We're going to finish off that one on the bottom, extending. Finish that one on the bottom, and then I'm going to put these lines in here for this middle section. I'm going to scooch up a bit from the bottom just to start filling that in. We'll leave the top part light. All right, here we go. Around the top, this is a much lighter red, so you should be able to see it. It can be jagged, don't worry, it'll blend when you put the last color in there, so as long as you get some good color in there and leave some white, it should be fine. And go along the bottom of the teeth. And then I'm going to go underneath this midline right here, leaving that little small lip area. This one starts to get too tiny, so the whole upper lip is going to be colored in now. And then when I go around the side, I'm just going to go around where by the teeth. And then just by the outside. We'll fill the rest in. This part right here I'm going to fill in with this color. And then this one, just going to come in a little bit from the front, a little bit from the back, and then leave a teeny white space. This section, just going to go in from one side, then from the other, and then I'll use the last color for the rest. Look at us, we're almost done with another one. We are rocking it. R35 is next. I'm going to go from the top down on each one of these. It will keep the color lighter so that it looks much lighter than it originally was. We're going to go along the lips and fill in any area that was white. Finish those off around the side here and here. Then we're just going to blend this one out on this side. We're going to add a little bit to this center part right there. Bam. Done. Now we didn't do these teeth down here, so I am going to grab that C1 a little bit and add just a teeny bit to the corners of the mouth. So just a little bit here and a little bit here. And I have to be careful not to pick up any red, but that is all we're doing with those. I'm not going to add any more to those teeth because surely if I put that colorless blender in there, I'm going to pick up that red. I know me, and me says, All right, there we go. That's it for that one. We got one more. Are you guys hanging in there? Can you do one more? The card's easy. You just put the images on the card. What do you think? What do you think? We can roll with this one. This is a bunch of like E39, 37, 35, 33, 31. That's the E's. That one's in there. There's a bit darker than 39, so I'm guessing that's more like 49 or 29. I'll have to test to see which one. And then trying to decide what I think that was. I think that was the E99, 97, 95, maybe 93. I'm not sure, but we're about to find out. So this is E99. It's a little bit on the brown side. This is E97. It starts moving into that orangey color, which is what you get up here. Then 95 goes into more of a peachy color. And 93 is a much peachier color. So yep, that's the colors I used for sure. Let's see, E39, yep. But I think I had something else like 29, yep. I wonder if I had some 49, yep. I did. And then we'll walk all those down into the lighter colors. And then it looks like I had something really, really light, which I'm guessing had something to do with like E53 or 51. So we'll throw those in there. And that's it. There weren't a million colors like this one. So let's go ahead and start him off with the browns. So if you want to pull them, E49, E29, E39, E37, E35, 33, and E31. So most of the 30s, E49 is the darkest color. We're just going to put a bit of that in there, like around his face and stuff. So this area right here that was black, I'm just going to add a little bit of this in here, just to kind of deepen that up a little bit. Same thing with his nose. A little bit in there. The eyes we'll do with black. I'm going to go along these eyebrows right here with this E49. E49 is very dark, so we want to be real careful with how much we use. So I'm going to do a little bit down here and then just a little bit across. I don't want it to be too dark. So I'm just going to go over these artist drawn lines as well. And then underneath this area right here, just going to use a bit of this in the really low sections, like that. Along here, I want to go a little bit underneath this one, right there, like that. I want to come out from where this stone is. I really want that stone to stand out, and the darker I put around it, the more it will stand out. And this part is already black, and so is that. I thought that was this marker that I used, but it was not. However, I do have a little bit of this right here on each side. All right, next, E29. I need a quick drink. Okay, so at the top here, we're going to go along this crown area. on both sides, kind of to give a little shadow there. Under here, where that guy's overlapping him. I want to start building in a bit of the intensity he's got like going on. So we're going to go from here, under this one. It's almost going to look like he has a little mustache. A little mustache. You know me, I got to tell some stories. He's got a little mustache going on. I decided to put some much lighter colors in here, so there's not quite as much of this dark as I thought there was going to be when I first started out. We're just going to extend from up here a little bit more in a few spaces, starting to fill that in, and then we're going to deepen this part from the bottom as well. This one's going to be a little bit darker. And then it looks like we have a bunch of that right here. Like we decided to keep this. I say we, like there were a bunch of people here deciding not with me, but it was just me. But I decided to make that darker. Let's make them even. There we go. And then this one, remember we were coming from the center out. So I'm just going to make those little brush strokes a little bit further. With this one, I'm just going to start curving this in a little bit on each side. And I want that center, I wanted it to, when I drew it, I was thinking heart, you know. So I'm going to go from here, start building in that center part as being dark as well. I think we need to get a little bit in here too. So I'm just going to put a little bit, kind of curve the edge of these triangles at the top. See? And then this triangle right here at the bottom. So kind of from one triangle to another, just curving it instead of leaving it looking square, kind of changes the look of it. All right, next one we're going to use E39. So we're gonna start extending into those colors a little bit more because this one's gonna get much lighter. So I'm gonna go along this center part right here so I can keep some depth here. Did it mess up, honey? Oh, I'm sorry. And then right here, oops, guess I should show that to you. Right here, we had some depth going on here. And then this one will go all the way over his nose, so we need to start building this in as well. These sides are going to be much lighter, so we're not going to mess with those. We are going to put a little bit over these and right here. Now we're going to extend. We're just going to keep extending from where we put the last color, a little bit at a time around his mouth. Coming up a little bit further. See how we're moving a little bit faster on this one. Hopefully you guys can keep up. I think this Tiki guy is my favorite. I love his face. This guy's your favorite. I couldn't decide. I like them all. But I didn't want to pick one and then have somebody be like, oh, I wanted to see the other one. So I decided to include them all. I hope you guys don't mind. It's probably a little longer than our sessions usually are. But I needed a little crafty meditation tonight. Coloring happiness. So I went around the outside on those, and now I'm going to extend a little bit more from where we put those other dark colors. This one, I'm going to do just the bottom all the way across, and then we're going to start building into this one as well. So small brush strokes all along, softening up those colors. There we go. So there we go. We are getting there. I think this part right here ended up being brown as well, but much lighter brown. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that color in there now so we can put the lighter color in a little bit. All right, next is, wait. I think we just did E37. Yeah. I put it down and picked it right back up. E35 is next. So here we go. The inside lighter parts, I think, are with the last two colors that we have pulled out. So, or maybe they're more than 97, 95. So maybe we'll go ahead and keep going with this one. So E35. Let's start filling that in. It still looks really brown. There we go. These colors, they blend so beautifully. So we're going to soften that little eyebrow mark right there. I want to keep it dark right there, but this inside part's going to be much lighter. So we're going to start working on this nose. So down the sides of the nose, going to soften those little bridge parts that we put in already. I'm going to go along this underside of his eye. I'm not going to do around the outside yet on that one. I think I'll do it with the next color. There we go. But I am going to go around the nose. I'm going to extend just a little bit further on that nose so it gives it a little bit of design going on there. I'm also going to put along these nostrils and that center part, we're going to put some dark color in there. Keep moving around this little smile going on here. Just extending a little bit on both sides. Same thing we've been doing. Now, this piece right here, this is it. Last color for this one. So we're just going to blend this together. Back and forth and back and forth. And this one, same thing. Just going to blend those in. Those are going to stay that color. They're not going to get any lighter. This from the outside, then from the inside, blends that together, and that part is done as well. So from the outside, then go from the inside, and then that part is done. This one, we're going to just go over it a couple of times, soften that up, get it blended really well, and then we're going to stop with that one as well. This one, I'm just going to put a little bit of that color. I use the next one to finish that off. This one, I'm going to do those same little brush strokes down and up a little bit. It'll leave a little bit of white left in there, and that's okay for the next color. Here we go. Next one, E33. E33. Alright, finish these eyebrows. We're done messing with these eyebrows. Let's finish them up. I'm going to go along this one, finish that one up. Same thing on this side. Oops. I went a little in there, but it's okay because it'll have a dark color anyway. I'm going to soften this. Start building in that nose. We're going to leave a little bit of this nose for the last color that we have, but not the mouth. this will finish off with E33. And any of the last stuff that we're going to use this for, just like this, and this, and this, back and forth. There we go. So we're going to come in with our E31 and finish his nose. We want to stay a little light on the tips of that nose so it stands out. We're going to add some orangey from the other colors when we get there. But we're not there yet. Let's do the really light colors. So grab your E53. There we go. I'm going to start E53 here. I only have 2 colors for this, so we'll put one color in and then the next. And this may have been the 40 markers instead of this one, but it's fine. We can do what we want. I'm going to make these, I should have used the darker color on that. I think those might be the only places I want to put them other than maybe up here. Let's do these. Just the top line and the bottom line. We'll put this color in there. There we go. Last color is E51 for this section. E51. Going to go from the top and blend into that color. Same thing with this one. If the line is still there, you can go over the line area one more time to soften that up. There we go. That's good for that. Now I'm going to come up here and do these. I saw one other place I really wanted that color to be. Let's grab that E53 again, and let's make these E53. This one and this one. I feel like it needs to be that color. Then E51, we'll soften that up. And that will finish off those colors. We're getting there. All right, I think that these are going to be our last colors. We may need to pull the E51 again back in for his teeth, but we'll get there. We're not there yet. E99. This one we're going to start all the way up here on these. We want them to be, we want this dark color to stay as close to that line as we can, and then extend up on these artist drawn lines. Right there along the edge. Now any area here that had some deep overlapping, we need to add it there. So this one overlaps this one. This one overlaps this one. This one is way in the back, which is why I put these 2 lines right here. Then this one is over that one. This one is over that one. And then right here, we need a little bit right there. So that's our darkest color up there. Then we need to come down here and put it right here in that little spot to cover that in. And we're going to start doing these little things, and I wanted them to look a little bit like bone. So I kind of did this little back and forth right here to separate this into, make it look like it was like squished together. You know, like when you make something tight right there, it gives you that like little line. And then these ones, the brush strokes go up like that. This one too. If you can get that out of it. This one, I did like that as well. And then this one, it just went along the edge, the inside edge and the top. Now I'm going to do just one line around the outside of this nose, right there. One line on this side and one on this side. And we'll worry about the rest of that when we get there. I don't want to work on the eyes just yet. So next one is going to be E97. Here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. All right, I'm going to turn him upside down so I can do some more of this. So we're going to start extending out from where we put that last color. Just brush strokes in the areas where it's white. And then this color, I'm going to go into, oh, I missed that one. I don't know how I could miss that. We'll go ahead and go into it with this one, and we can go add the darker color back in if we want to. Then I'm going to go along the top here. And I'm going to add just a little bit right here so that looks a little bit more like a heart-ish. I don't know why, I just wanted it. And then a little bit here, a little bit here, and then along the bottom. Now we have to start doing the eyes, so we're going to start from the center part right there. We're going to go along the top because he looks angry. We're going to get the top filled in first. The bottom will be lighter. Like that. We're going to start moving in from these areas so we can soften those up just a little bit. From here, little brush strokes up and little brush strokes down. So both directions, if you can. And then straight up on this one. Right here, I want this to remain dark, so I'm going to finish that off. Oh, I was like, I thought I already did this. I did the one at the top. Same thing on the bottom. And kind of fill that in like it's a heart. Right here, just going to put a few little brush strokes out there. And we're going to start working on the teeth. So I'm going to start at the top right here. I'm going to go kind of even along the top like that. But in between, I want you to put some lines. Not a lot of lines, but some lines. So we want his teeth to look like it's made of wood. So we gotta give him some strands in his teeth. So going along here, you put them in random, put them wherever you want, just put them in. On the top, you're going to go from the top down, but not all the way to the bottom. And on the bottom, you're going to go from the bottom up, but not all the way to the top for those little lines. Unless you're doing the artist drawn lines. And then you can do them all the way up. There we go. Now we got teeth started. We got teeth started. Look at us. Look at us go. All right. E95. I know it's surprising, but we're almost done. All right, here we go. Let's extend out even further from here. So we're just going to leave the very tips open. Just the very tips. for the last color. Just the tips. In this area, we're going to start extending out a little bit more. We're just going to leave the small area right there for the last color. There we go. Moving around the eyes. I'm going to finish these with this color. Just like that. And I think we need to get in here and do this and just leave those little curly cues open for the last color. I'm going to finish off these little cheeks right here. I'm going to do these little things, but this time I'm going to go from the white part into the area. So always from the white into the dark. It'll just keep the dark where it's supposed to be and the light where it's supposed to be. This one we're going to do exactly the same as that one. This one from the light to the dark, just like that. Now for the teeth, we're not going to mess with these lines. We're just going to soften the top line of these teeth. Just barely touching it and softening that line. This looks so good. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. We'll go over the eye with a black multi-liner, put a little bit of white gel pen, and we'll be in good shape. This is E93. It's still going to keep that like pink color. So you're going to start from the tips and work into the orange color. These are not markers I think that people use really often. We're not going to do that one. We're going to finish these. And we're going to finish this. And we're going to finish this. And then I think we might need this on the teeth, but I want to try to do it with E51 because I think E51 is what we need. But I kept this E93 because you're going to need it one more time. So I'm going to go from the top down on this little area there. And then I thought that was one more place. Nope, that's it. Just the teeth. Okay, we're going to go along the bottom of the teeth and work ourselves up into the orange. This will make it look like his teeth are kind of jagged. I mean, maybe that guy just wasn't that great at cutting the wood. You never know. Or maybe he did it on purpose. And now his teeth look all jagged and messed up. And that's okay. He's allowed to. I want to go back with the E93 one more time, and I want to just touch over the nose area just to get a little bit of that pinkish color in there. Just like that. It's a little darker on there. Maybe we should try E95. That might do it a little bit better. Oh yeah, that's a little better. There we go. That helped with his nose. Okay, let's use our multi-liner, because you know we always do. We're going to use 0.5, if I can find it. 0.5. We're going to do 0.5 to do his eye, so that black will really stand out. I don't do it over all the lines, but I do like for the eyes to stand out. And in this case, I want the eyebrows because he looks, kind of has that little bit of an angry look. So I'm just kind of going through the center of it. I'm not doing it like, I'm not doing it meticulously, just a little bit in there. I don't think I need any on the other two. I think I'm good. But I do need a little bit of white gel pen. I don't want to do it until I cut these out, because I can't cut these out when they're wet. So these are pretty easy to cut out. If you've never, how'd you guys do? Make sure you post in the group. Look at these. So cool. So I'm going to cut these out, but I'm going to show you these are really quick cuts. So let's start up here. I'm going to leave a little bit of a white border around them. And you don't have to be real detailed on them. As long as you leave a little bit of a white border and you get close, you'll be good. Are you picking which background you want, since I picked 3, Dale?
I was just looking at it.
Oh. No, I'm not that side. You're on the wrong side. I need a full side, not a little side. Huh? You like the beachy one? I like that one too. Alright. I like to cut off my scraps when I'm doing it. Yes, I have already cut these out once or twice before. No joke. But these guys, they're attached. So we have to cut them out attached. I don't want them to come apart. Now, could we have cut them all separately, colored them all, and then overlapped them? Yeah, we could have. And normally, if I was doing a Copic background, I'd just leave them overlaid like this and then mask them and color over them, or just color around them. But I decided I wanted to use this paper, so we have to cut them out in order for us to do that. But I promise nobody notices if your cutting isn't fantastic, honestly. So, you think I did an awesome job with all 3 of them? Too lighter, but it's still an awesome job. Yeah, well, sometimes when you take the photo, they end up, when you make a copy of a copy, they end up looking a little bit lighter than they originally started. But yeah, I'm not sure the markers were, the colors were exactly right, but I did my best to guess. I know some of them were exactly right, but some of them I wasn't sure, because I was mixing so many colors to get the color I wanted that I don't remember. Oh, you know what? I do have those cards though. I did make these into cards, so you will be seeing them over the next couple of weeks, because I'll be days, because I'll be posting them in the group, because they're really cool. And this one you saw live, so I don't need to post this one. I'll post the other ones. I just photographed them all. You find fussy cutting therapeutic? I do too. I mean, honestly, you know those cards that I posted the other day that I made 89? The day before I started making the cards, I had to cut every one of those images out. I cut every one of them by hand. There were so many. So many. Because some cards have more than one image on them, so yeah, there were a lot. But I had to, you know, I didn't want any, I wanted to have samples for you guys. I mean, if you can't imagine it, you know, you might not want it. I don't know. I just feel like you guys need samples. I mean, I don't know. Has anybody ever bought an image, got it home, and said, "Man, I wish I had a colored version of this so I could see how to do it for myself." That's the reason that I color packaging and that I made the cards so you guys could see them all, and you know, was because I got so frustrated when I get home and then I'm like, is this line this or is that line that? I can't tell. I need to see somebody color it. I don't know. I just try to make it as easy for you guys as possible. and I thought that would be helpful. So, plus, you know, you got a website, you got to have some cards on it. All right, almost done. This is the longest part, this up and down right here, but it won't be bad. If I can hold on to it, we'll be in good shape. Down, up, down, up. Usually I'm watching TV with Dale when I'm cutting a bunch of stuff. There we go, all done. Now we have Tiki Totems. We have all our Tiki Totems ready to go. And watch how fast we can make a card. Is this the one you liked? Mm-hmm. Is this the one you picked? Okay, let's back out a little bit so you guys can really see. I like colored cards so I can get an idea for my card. See? I'm saying, me too. Okay, so this is the beachy scene that I thought would be super cool. So we're going to stick all these little guys on the beach. So we have to cut this. Oops. I have this paper, this card base that I wanted to use. So that works out great. So now we have to cut it because I didn't have the card base. I didn't have the card stock cut because I didn't know which one I wanted to use. So I think if this is our card base, oh, these nails. Sometimes these fingernails drive me crazy. I need a bone folder. All right. So we got to decide, do we want to do the card this way or do we want to do I think we should do it this way. We can see more of the background if we do it this way. All right. So I needed to decide which direction so I knew how to cut the paper. So we're going to cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4. So I have to cut a little from each side because I want to keep this part of the scene. So I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to come over here and see how much I cut off if I go to 4 and what they would look like on the little beachy. And I kind of think maybe I need to go a little further. I want to get a little bit of the sun and a little bit of that tree. So now I'm going to flip this over and cut it to 4. I know that kind of wastes a little bit of this paper, but I am pretty picky on how I want it to look on here. So this needs to go to 5 1/4. So I'm going to look at how much I need to cut off for that. So we're going to break that in half. We'll cut a little bit off that end, and then we'll come back and cut the rest off that end. Now we have the beautiful scene that we wanted. That paper is perfect. I'm telling you, it's LaLaLand. Look, LaLaLand Crafts Summer Vacation. It's got a ton. I mean, I had 2 other ones pulled out. This one, and then I also thought I could use that one because, you know, even if they go off, it's still cute. So I had all 3 of these. Dale chose this one, so this is the one we're rolling with. But look, the beach is here, the water's behind, so they fit like perfectly on there. And I love that little sun in the background. This is that smooth, slick paper, but you can stamp on it, and I'm going to show you because we're going to do it tonight. So I'm going to glue this down first. Oh, crazy, right? I had to refill this glue 2 times doing all those cards the other night. Okay, we're going to center that on top of our card base, just like that. I'm going to use this press, spread the glue, make it stick. Look at how cute that is. So cute. These are going to go here. I lined them. I always have the papers. I just got some new papers too for something else that I'm working on, and I'm excited about them as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm very particular But when I find good paper, I have good paper. Okay, where's my stamp so we can put some sentiment on? Oh, here it is. All right, so we have, I think I know which one I want to use, but let me read them all to you. So we have Mahalo, Aloha, Tiki Time. I told him you're not that old. I love that one. I told him you're not that old. I didn't choose the Tiki Life, it chose me. That's the one I think I want to use. So I want to put it right there, although that one wouldn't be too bad. All of them would fit in there. It really, you can pick any one you want. But I think we're going to use this one that says, I didn't choose the Tiki Life, it chose me, because they're on the beach and, Tikis. The way I positioned the towels is perfect. Yay! Well, I was hoping. All right, so let's go ahead and glue them down. You could pop them up, you could do whatever you want, but I will tell you though, what I've learned is, I really like matte background paper, but these days you really just get the glossy. No matter where you go, everybody is doing glossy. And that's not because people are picking that, but it's because the people that we have make the paper, they just don't make the paper in matte for some reason. I think it's too expensive, or they just don't have the paper to make. I don't know what the reason is. So I've learned that you can stamp on the glossy, and you can do most of anything on the glossy, except I'm struggling a little with my wobblers. They will not stay stuck. They will not stay down on the glossy paper. They just keep popping off. And that's a little bit frustrating for me. So I tried gluing it. I don't know if that worked yet. I have to test it again later tonight, because I just glued it before we went on to the live. And to try it one more time to see if I could get it to stick. But it's very frustrating. I want to get them lined up just right. It's very frustrating. But everything else has worked really good on the glossy paper, including stamping, which we're going to do. The only thing is you have to remember, you have to give it a couple of seconds before you mess with it at all, or you'll, you might smear it. So you just want to be a little bit careful. But, and y'all, I'm really going to throw y'all a crazy thing. I'm not even going to put this in my Misty. I'm just going to stamp it on there. Because I'm telling you, I just did 89 cards, so I'm doing it. Here we go. This is my favorite little stamping block. I got it from the Sassy Club. It is my favorite. I have two. I use them all the time. And I'm going to eyeball it on here. Seriously. I know, it sounds crazy. But here we go. Once I have it where I want it, I just make sure that I touch all of the areas where the ink is, lift it up, and we're good to go. See, and that's how I roll. I used to always use, you can use the Misty, but I just started doing them. Now that I have this stamping block that I can hold comfortably in my hand, I started using it a lot more for the sentiments rather than getting my Misty out. I really, really like it. Look at how cute that is. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. While we're at it, we might as well do our white gel pen and then stick some little bling. Here it goes. I'm about to show this because I need my bling. Hold on. Let me see. Yep. Okay. So my bling, I already have my bling in my little bling holder, and I need to use that, the blue ones right here. I'm going to use those and my little tweezers. And I'm going to put some of these little blings on my paper here. Probably just 3, because I don't really feel like I need a whole lot more than that. Just gonna put,
LaDoux Design resin dots.
yep, the LaDoux Designs resin dots. That's what they are. I think I want it to be up, and then I want a smaller one. There's the littler one. Yeah, that's the one. And I want that one is being a little wiggly dude. I can't decide. He's very wobbly. I think I might move these over just like this. Maybe the bigger one over here. The smaller one over here. It's like, why are you spending so much time? It's just a dot. But I seriously I like my dots. I'm a big dot user. All right, so now I'm going to put the glue on here. And then I'm going to pick up the little resin dot. Well, maybe, or I'm going to throw it across my desk, one or the other. And then I'm going to place it over top of that. And it's okay, because Barely Art glue dries clear, so I don't have to worry about any of that. And I know it does, because I did like 60 cards with these kinds of dots on them, and they have all dried clear, and you can't see any of the glue. Now, if this little guy stops hopping around long enough for me to put him in there, on there, we'll be in good shape. Except I had glue on my finger from the last one. And now, if you'll... This is kind of funny. Do you guys laugh watching me trying to pick these things up? I am so terrible at it because of my fingernails. Okay, and then I use my little press pop right here to press them down really good to make sure that all the glue squeezes evenly around the whole thing, and you know, whatever the reason, whatever just makes my heart happier. And I just stick them on there, and they're so cute. Look at that. The only thing we need is the white gel pen, and we are finished. So this is my Deco Gel Milky Way pen. It's my favorite white gel pen. It is running out of ink, unfortunately. And what I want to do is just put a little bit, like a tiny little line to make that stand out just a little more. Same thing here. Not much. I have to touch very lightly so it doesn't put too dark of a line on there. And then this guy, we're just going to give him an eyeball because, you know, we can. Whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. I'm going to put a little bit down here in these little eyes. And a little bit off to the side on these. This is a stone, so I want a little bit of color in there. Got something on my paper. And then I don't think I want to, oh, there's a stone right here. I want to put a little bit right there. But yeah, I don't think I want to put any more. I think I just wanted a little bit. Check that out. I didn't choose the Tiki Life. It chose me. Aren't they cute, just hanging out on the beach? Don't you wish you were hanging out on the beach too? I know I do. So much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I really do. And guess what? We're doing Thursday. Check that out. I love that drink. I love these drinks. I want to drink them now. This will be Thursday night. We will be doing these drinks. They'll be so fun as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that you like the images and that you're super happy. I had a great time drawing them. It was so much fun. If you need to watch the replay, remember, it'll be on YouTube. If you watch on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel so we can do more stuff out there. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. On Thursday, I will have a cocktail in hand. Ooh, see, even better. We should all have cocktails in our hands. Yep. So, aloha, or is it mahalo now?
Aloha.
Huh?
It's aloha.
It's aloha, hello and goodbye.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good night, you guys. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a great evening and a good Wednesday.